rumors are true. So let's find out if the rumors are true out in La La Land as well. Here she is, the one and only Miss Kristyn Burtt. So, Kristyn, are the rumors true?
I don't know what the rumors are about.
Has Kanye West just completely lost his mind?
Oh, I think we've all known for a long time that he's mentally ill. So I just think that he admitted he's not taking medication, and I think that we're seeing that.
It's funny, like, when you saw that, like, no matter what he said or did, all I kept thinking the whole time was Harvey Levin is, like, thinking this is just a gold mine right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he was super psyched because TMZ has struggled over the last year because Harvey has supported Donald Trump, and they had to lessen their coverage of Donald Trump because it was draining their website. And so it was one, yeah, oh yeah. They were struggling for a solid year there. So they have just stopped doing a ton of Donald Trump coverage, and they haven't had like a major exclusive in quite a while. So this was kind of a nice thing for them. This was a major entertainment news coup.
It really was. And the thing I was thinking too, not only that, like, I wonder if like he like said to Kim, like, I'm going to do this, or did he just do this on his own? And like, what was the backlash from the Kardashians? Like, the whole thing.
Well, I don't think that the Kardashians have much control over now, and he's kind of doing his own thing. I mean, obviously, if he had a publicist with him, none of this would have happened. I mean, honestly, in his mental state, I wouldn't be sending him to any network at this point without someone sitting next to him being like, no, all right, we're going to pull this, or we're done, or whatever, because you're seeing, I mean, I just read like a few moments ago that like a Detroit radio station is refusing to play any sort of Kanye West music. This will not be the only radio station. This is going to happen for a while. There's a few other radio stations doing the same thing with R. Kelly. So I do think that somehow the family has to try and get a handle on his mental health.
You know what, though? I mean, that, like, when I was going through and there were so many articles about it, reading so many articles and stuff about it, like, I think that's something, I'm not a big Kanye fan, but that kind of, like, made him real to me. You know what I mean? Like, he's a real human being, and the fact that he's he's really emotionally distraught over the fact that he's not getting radio airplay like he used to, and it really upsets and bothers him. I mean, it truly takes him off of that holier-than-thou, multi-billionaire, whatever he is, and brings him back to a human level, like, really quickly.
Well, and I think also you're seeing that he obviously is very sensitive to the press that he's getting. For him to even say, like, hey, I went and got liposuction because you called my brother-in-law fat and he couldn't even come to the wedding, and I didn't want you guys to do the same to me. What we sometimes forget, and we're so quick to like run to social media, is that these people are human and they are reading their press. And you know what? If you start calling someone fat over and over again, you know what? If they have the money, they're going to go out and they're going to do the liposuction, or they're going to do the cosmetic surgery, or whatever else it is, or they're going to develop an eating disorder. And we have to really, like, everyone needs to start checking themselves a little bit and worry about their own lives and not worry about Kanye West gaining 10 pounds or whatever, or Rob Kardashian. I mean, I always question when people are admiring the Kardashians so much, and I'm like, really? Because to me it looks like, even though they have tons of money, it looks like kind of a sad life, because you have alcoholism and you have infidelity and you have mental health issues and you've got addiction issues, and that's not something that I want to have all of the time in my life as a constant presence, and they certainly do. So I always feel like their fame, their reality shows have come at a very high cost.
Yeah, we were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. Like, it seems like every picture we see of, like, Kim and Kanye, they just look very sad. They don't look happy at all.
I don't think he's been the same since he lost his mother. I'm going to be honest. I think that really, his mother was everything to him. I think his mother really kept him together, and I think that took a part of him, and he lost his mother. She passed away during a plastic surgery procedure. So I think that it's odd that he went and got it himself, but obviously not the same surgeon. But it is one of those things that, I guess you would say it's an unnecessary death. It wasn't like she was sick. It wasn't like she was in a car accident. She was in an elective surgery, and she passed away.
Hey, I was. Did you know that he had like liposuction? I was really shocked by that as well.
No, he had never revealed that. So that was news to everybody.
No, and this one is really interesting because, like, on one hand, he said some outrageous stuff that a lot of people are going to be mad about. But on the other side, when we start talking about, like, him talking about the way they were calling him fat and the way they were treating Rob, like, you can get behind that. You know what I mean? Like, it almost humanized him a little bit for me because, not too long ago, me and Bay watched this show Arrow, and there used to be this guy, Colton Haynes. He used to be on the show. And he took some time off acting, and then he's back in it now or whatever. But apparently he was going through some stuff about coming out and stuff like that. And I went back, and I started watching, like, interviews from, like, Comic-Con and stuff like that. And you start to notice these things that there's cracks in the Hollywood armor, so to speak, because like he looked terrified every time somebody stepped up to ask him a question. It was like you could clearly see on his face, like, what are they going to say now? You know what I mean? And for Kanye to say that as well and to be like, this is why I did it. You guys talk about us constantly and think that we don't hear it. You know what I mean? But there you go. He basically told the world, man, we hear it. We hear what you're saying. It gets under our skin.
Absolutely. And it's, it's tough. It's tough if you're like scrolling through social media and, it's really tough to avoid notifications and you have to have a really thick skin or you just have to stay away from the notifications because people are just downright cruel and everyone feels like it's okay to say anything to anyone. So, and that's not the way it is anymore. And I think that, and we have a leader that is okay, like slamming people left and right. And we all need to just step back and go, this isn't acceptable because our kids are learning it. And, you have plenty of people that can be like, well, the president does it. It's not cool. It's not cool when anyone does it.
I was actually shocked that he was a fan of Trump. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know what, I think it's fair. I think we all make sweeping generalizations of, like, who supported Obama and who supports Trump. And I think at least, even though I think a lot of people are upset that he supports Trump, I think at least he's putting a face to, like, not every Trump voter is just, like, an old white dude over, like, 68 years old. Do you know what I mean? I think that that's important to see where people are voting and why people are voting the way they are. Because if you don't like what's happening now, you better be voting, even though Kanye didn't vote in the last election. But if he had voted, he said it would have been Trump.
That was one thing, too, like we were hearing a lot of, too, that he was planning to run for president in 2020. So I guess he's not planning anymore.
He's not going to run for president, and I don't think he is stable enough to run for president. That's my thought.
Dude, after this presidency, like, how could you even want to run for president? Like, and this presidency has opened up a world of, like, and I'm not, guys, I'm not defending Donald Trump. I hate Donald Trump. But it's opened up this sort of floodgate of, like, anybody can just say whatever they want and criticize and let's just constantly talk about it. Like, I don't want to be the next guy. I don't even want to be the guy after the next guy. It's going to be like living under a microscope.
Yeah, I mean, to me, being president is the most miserable job in the world. I mean, honestly. And, Trump, what's so interesting is that I think he does like the power, and I think he likes having a megaphone to the country. But at the same time, I think he's very miserable on the job, too. Like, he's very isolated. They can't tear him away from the TV because he knows that people are constantly talking about him. And I think that makes him paranoid. It would make me paranoid. I'm not It's not just him. And that would make me stressed out all the time, but seem like a fun job whatsoever. Not that I thought it was a fun job before, but it seems really, really miserable in this era, and especially in such a divided country.
Yeah. Oof. But no, I don't even know if that was true or not. That I saw the other day. Is it true that they're that Trump's could be up for like a Nobel Peace Prize or something? Is that real?
He was nominated by I think like 17 or 19 members of Congress. So they put the nomination in. That doesn't mean he's going to win.
Gotcha.
But you know what? A lot of people will argue that Obama did not deserve it in 2009. So he was like fresh into the presidency and got the Nobel Peace Prize. So you never know.
Oh boy. So what stories did you have?
Well, I think last week we talked about Bill Cosby, and I think that story has sort of played out in the press or continued to play out in the press. In that, Camille Cosby is just saying that this is like a mob mentality. And it's so interesting to me because she is really, really siding with her husband, even though there's plenty of evidence that convicts her husband, including her own husband admitting, like, I would give women quaaludes to have sex with him. And even if she doesn't believe, let's say, the assault, it was very clear that he was stepping out of their marriage every opportunity he could. And
in their own home.
In their own home, and away from the home, like all over the place. And I don't understand that. And, maybe I can understand. I have had friends that have reconciled with their spouses after, like, let's say one incident of infidelity or like one person. But when it's multiple people, it's over multiple decades, at what point is this healthy for you as an individual?
I think it might be a generational thing, though, too. Being from the same general area as the guy, like, I can actually pinpoint a lot of relationships looking back in my childhood of, like, sort of older couples that sort of had these unspoken rules. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knew the husband was doing something dirty, but as long as it wasn't thrown in the wife's face, nobody brought it up. Like there's a lot to be said for his age and his generation, I think, when it comes to that. Like, I think she's playing the role that she thinks she's supposed to play.
Wow. And and here's the thing, she's a very smart, educated woman, and she's just believing what she's believing. And I almost am like, does she have Stockholm syndrome? Like, that's how I feel when looking at her. And I feel sorry for her. Obviously, it's her choice to stay, and it's her choice to believe her husband, but it's a real tough one. That would keep me up at night.
Actually, it's been, at least out here, at least, I was expecting the news to really be camping out, like, on his front lawn. Like, they were there for, like, the first 24 hours, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to, like, die out. And then this morning, this letter from Camille came out. I'm like, here we go. She should have just stayed quiet.
Round two, yeah.
Yep, ruffle them feathers.
Yeah, and I think, I just think that Hollywood's done with Cosby, and I think that, if you listen to some of the jurors who spoke out after, they were like, it really was his own statements of saying, I gave quaaludes to women to have sex with them, that really got him convicted. And I think that speaks volumes. And what's said is said and what's done is done. And, they've pulled Cosby Show off the air, and that's unfortunate for some of the cast members who were still getting some nice residuals from that show. That is super unfortunate. And I feel bad for them too, because, I went to NYU at the same time Tempest Bledsoe was there, and she was one of the kids on the Cosby Show. And, he made every accommodation so that she could attend class and that she could get her education and still do the work on the Cosby Show. And so for someone like that, I imagine that there's so many conflicted feelings because someone did so much good for your life when you were a kid into adulthood. And then, you obviously see some of the bad that he did. And that's, for your brain, that's a lot to reconcile.
Still, like, as you say it, it's still mind-blowing to think what he was doing.
Oh, it's awful. It's terrible. I mean, it really, if you think about that, like you are incapacitated, and even if you can start, if you're hazy and you know that something's being done to you, you don't have the strength or the verbal skills in that moment to stop it or get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah, that's...
All right,
That's
let me throw a hypothetical out there for you guys real quick. Sorry about that, Bay.
No,
okay,
I just keep hearing Cosby's voice in my head, like trying to make a joke out of it. You know, and I'm just like cringing into myself.
Okay, so you have this classic TV show that's beloved by lots of people, The Cosby Show, right? You have it's still running in syndication, lots of places. These people are still getting checks from it and everything. Is there any point where the co-stars can come out and say that his actions have damaged their income potential? Now, hear me out with this small part. If the company, like say Viacom or whoever, comes out and specifically said that they took the show off the air because of the verdict, does that give them like any sort of legal precedent to say that, you know, he's screwing with their income?
Any of them would dare sue Cosby because of this.
Right.
And,
no, totally. But just kind of hypothetical, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they could. Some of them have supported them. I know that we have seen some of the former cast members show up in court to support him, at least for the first trial. I don't feel like we've seen that in the second trial. But, and then I don't think you'd be able to sue any sort of production company or whatever. I think Bounce TV just pulled it because it's going to be one of those things where, like, we just had fewer complaints and we just let it run its course, or, you know, we just didn't renew the license or whatever it was, or the syndication deal. So, I mean, they have the right to put whatever they want on the air or pull whatever they want off the air as their own network. So I just don't think we'll see anything like that happen. But of course it does affect their income. I mean, and I just think about it, like years and years and years ago, I did a small part on Strangers with Candy, one of Amy Sedaris' shows, like a million years ago when it was on Comedy Central. I still get residuals off of that. Yeah, I mean, like a gazillion years ago. So when you're a series regular, you get some really nice checks when those shows are running all of the time. Even though they you know, smaller and smaller over time, you're still getting. I mean, right. I still get VHS residuals, believe it or not, because there are some places in the world that still sell VHS tapes and VHS tapes of a small Comedy Central show. Can you imagine what a network, NBC, major hit from the 80s into the 90s, what those residuals looked like, and you were a series regular? Unbelievable.
Oh, that is so funny.
Another world.
Some guy in like Bangladesh is watching the episode that you were in right now on a VHS tape.
On VHS.
Oh.
Thank you. Enjoy that. But isn't that interesting though? So when I think about like what I'm still getting residual checks from, you do have to think, okay, take a look at what like a major player in Hollywood is getting. Like a Felicia Rashad who played Cosby's wife. There's still some major residuals coming out of that. Or not now, but there were.
No, I wonder too, like how Nick was saying, like, you know, as he's saying, like, jokingly in Bangladesh, I'm wondering if like other countries would be as vigilant to pull the show, you know what I mean, or if they would be more relaxed about it.
I'm going to say if it's like the UK, it's probably pulled, you know, or in Australia or something. But I'm probably assuming that smaller countries, especially ones that are still using VCRs, probably not pulled.
Oh,
like 12 years from now, these people are going to be so shocked at this verdict.
Yeah, when they go to Wikipedia and they're like, "Oh my God, what the heck?"
Did you guys see? I think I sent it over to you, Nick, but it was on like I guess I saw it online on Facebook a couple weeks ago. But it was hysterical. I'm guessing it's like a rap battle show, but it was Molly Ringwald versus John Cryer.
Oh, Pretty in Pink.
It was so good. They ripped on each other so bad. It was unbelievable. It was cringeworthy.
I loved that movie. I watched that movie over and over and over and over again.
So it was an episode of Lip Sync Battle. Is that what it was?
I mean, we were actually rapping.
Okay, yeah, there is another one. I can't remember the name of it right now, but yeah, I think I saw one that was like Holly Berry versus James Corden or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Drop the mic. Is that what it was?
Maybe that's it. Yeah, drop the mic. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Too funny.
That's
so how
funny.
about Dances with the Stars first week, and Tonya made it through?
Hey, I was there on Monday night, and I interviewed Tonya Harding.
Oh. So
it was really like, okay, first of all, I think I told you guys this last week, like I had heard behind the scenes that she was being very nice to everybody.
Yeah.
People were enjoying being around her. She was extremely sweet when I interviewed her. She had a great dance on Monday night. It was interesting because I found myself like in my head as she's speaking, very mixed emotions in that I'm like, I can't believe, like, I'm not going to be mean to her because there's no reason to be mean to her. I just like still am conflicted about like why she just hasn't kind of owned what she's done and just done like a really good, solid apology so everyone can just move on from this and we don't talk about it again.
Right.
However, in talking with some of the people that had been working with her, they just said, she is an extreme people pleaser, not in a way that is healthy for anybody, because you have to remember, like, that is what her whole life was. She went from an abusive mother to an abusive husband, and you can see that in her. She just wants you to like her. She just wants to be loved. And in interviewing her, I had nothing but empathy for her as a person because I'm like, her whole life has been so hard. And yes, she has helped make her life very hard and is probably a really good self-sabotager. But I think that she's really trying to embrace this experience and try and at least write her life and put it on a better course. And for that, you have to applaud that, of course. And she does have a young son. And, of course, she probably wants the best life possible for him, as any parent would. So I did have a lot of empathy, but it was really interesting because I was like, I have so many feelings in this moment.
I mean, from what it sounds like you were saying last week, it sounds like maybe she's really realized like this is her true second chance at anything in life. Just to like right her wrongs and show that she's a changed person and clear her name and everything else, and just to get a true start over. And it sounds like she's really trying to do it. And the fact that she made it through week one, it tells us a little something.
I knew she was after, like, just kind of getting a feel for the room. I had heard that Jamie Anderson, who is the snowboarder, she was struggling in rehearsal, didn't realize what Dancing with the Stars involved, canceled rehearsal a couple times. You can't do that. Like, you just have to, even if you're uncomfortable, you just have to put yourself in that room and just do it and give yourself over emotionally and physically and do the experience. Because if you're even reluctant just a little bit, the audience feels it and they don't vote for you. And so she was voted out first. I think Johnny Damon just got stuck with like a really late, because they voted live on the East Coast and Central Time. I think he just had a late time slot. People didn't have the opportunity to vote for him, and he was just kind of the odd man out. Like, two couples had to go on Monday night.
Now, what's that been like? I mean, you're in the mix over there with Dancing with the Stars and with the whole fan crew of all the diehard fans of Dancing with the Stars. What's been their gauge on the whole Tonya Harding thing? Have they been open to it, or are they opening up to her?
I think some of them, and some, not all, were a little bit upset by the casting. But at the end of the day, this is their job, and we all know that bosses make decisions that we don't always like. And
Sure.
Once the person is there, you have to work with them, and you have to make them feel welcome. And that's what they've done. And I know that in speaking with one of the dancers, they said they had a really pleasant rehearsal experience with her, and there was no issues, no problems. So I think that they just said I do feel for her, because they said that they feel the people pleasing all the time. You know what I mean? Like, she just wants everybody in the room to like her at all times. And you know what? It's possible for all of us, whether we were involved in a Nancy Kerrigan knee whack or not. We're not all perfect,
Can you imagine, if she ends up winning this? How? How will
she won't
Nancy
win.
Kerrigan
I'm going to
do?
let you know right now, she will not win. It's going to be, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be between Adam Rippon, the figure skater, and also Joshua Norman, the foot. Those are the two to look out for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, something you said there, I was seeing a lot of people were talking about with American Idol too, and it was the late time slot and the voting, which caused somebody to get voted off the other day.
Yeah, so American Idol is now doing live voting, and it's the good news is that the West Coast can actually vote in this situation because it's airing live at 5 p.m. here. So the entire country can vote, but it is tougher because if you have usually when a show is taped and you've got 24 hours to vote, the sweet spot is going second to last or last, because then they always call that the pimp spot, which means you're going to get a lot of votes. The problem with live voting is the later you go, the less likely you are to get the votes that you want. So it's a big risk for having some of the later spots. You're like, I might go because of this.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fair. It really doesn't, with the whole live voting thing.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does make it more exciting. So I think the West Coast, which rarely gets to be involved in the live voting, I know everyone that is watching American Idol certainly appreciates that. But yeah, for a contestant, not a fun situation to be in.
Very interesting. How about I sent the video to Nick earlier. He refused to push play, but the Cash Me on the Outside girl with her new music video, I guess, with David Spade in that. Did you see that by chance?
I did not. Anything with the Cash Me Outside girl, I scroll on by. I was like, we need to stop making people famous like this.
Exactly.
I was like,
that's exactly
no.
what I said.
Do not click. And, when people always tell me, I don't want to hear about the Kardashians again, I'm like, don't ever click on their article, because even though people don't like them, people will still click on their People article or their Us Weekly article. And I'm like, when editors see tons of clicks on an article, they continue to ask us to write more and more and more about these people. So that's why I'm always like, nope, don't give them the click. Don't give them the view.
I couldn't help it. I saw I guess the snippet they played on TMZ, and then I saw the full video for it. It is funny. It really is.
Not doing it. Not happening.
Nope. It's exactly what I said. I said she is not getting my click.
Yeah. That's a big no for me. I'm not even curious. Sometimes I will click on a Kardashian article because I'm like, oh, clickbait headline, let me look. But that one, nope.
See, I should I should take that video and edit out just that section and put it up so you guys will just watch that. It's like a 10-second clip.
I wonder how much she had to pay David Spade. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, right.
Oh man,
that's the true story we need to know.
It's so funny.
So what do you have happening this week?
I'm in the thick of Emmys for your consideration, so I've got a lot of those coming up. I know tomorrow I've got one for The Good Place, which is the Ted Danson and Kristen Bell series over at Universal Studios that I'm looking forward to. I'll have Dancing with the Stars on Monday. I'm just trying to think what else. I think next week's a quieter week for me. This week was really, really busy. I went on set with So You Think You Can Dance, and I was backstage with World of Dance and Dancing with Stars. It was like 36 hours of nonstop dance. It was kind of crazy, and I had the daytime Emmys last Sunday. So this week has been crazy, and so I'm looking forward to the weekend and some sleep.
Yeah, I saw you ran into to our friend, Miss Carolyn Hennessy.
Oh, yeah, she and I have known each other a very long time. My boyfriend, when I moved out here, did a show with her, so we met a long, long time ago. And so it's been fun interviewing her over the years. She was hosting the live broadcast, so she roped me in to do one of the first interviews of the live broadcast on the Daytime Emmys. So I didn't know I was on the live broadcast. She and I were just chatting and stuff, and I thought we were just taping our side of the interview. And then everyone started screen capping it, going, "You're on the live feed." And I was like, "Oh, there you go."
Oh, that's awesome. She's good people.
She is. She's a hoot. She's a never a dull day with Carolyn Hennessy.
Oh, it's too funny. Cool. So, yeah, I guess next week we'll be catching up, and beside Kanye, it's been a pretty quiet week.
Yeah, it really has. Just kind of wrapping up the Bill Cosby thing, and I don't know. I feel like there's more brewing. I know there's been a lot of follow up on NBC News with Tom Brokaw, CBS News with Charlie Rose. So I'm like, just when you say the Me Too era has died, I'm like, oh, here it comes. It comes roaring through again. So we'll see what happens.
It's always simmering. It's just a matter of when it's ready to boil over.
That's right.
Cool. All right. So I guess we'll be catching up next weekend, hopefully.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Kristen. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, there she goes, Kristyn Burtt. Check her out all over the world of social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Kristyn Burtt. That's Kristyn Burtt.